Hello everyone, Holiday Wither here, and welcome back to another episode of 80 Days. In the last episode, we learned some more ways to explore around the world, heard about the Americas, got our shoes stolen, and heard about an interesting group that worships death. In this episode, we're gonna hope to not run into that group and see if we can hopefully get closer and try to get to America. But we'll see if that's possible. We'll have to explore to find an onward journey. Only makes sense. Albert was a charming enough town, though not, it must be said, a desired destination of ours. When we explored, we came across a most marvelous sight. A large mechanical elephant, boarding for a long journey. Our spirits soared, but we were not yet to see the price. Apparently, it's Calcutta, which we already learned. Now, I want to see, if we zoom out, here is America. So what we need to do is try our best to get over here. So I think we're gonna go to Calcutta just because it is our best option. But we are going to go to the hotel. And as night fell, I tended to monitor Fogg. I ran a few errands. Your funds have gone up a little. Great. Ah, there is no hotel. That's bad. There is no bank. We're gonna have to depart. There's nothing else to do, but we're gonna have to go by donkey cart. Now, this might be a bad decision because we probably should have picked up some more money last episode. But hopefully this doesn't bite us in the butt and end our journey. But taking a cart through dense jungles was fairly clearly, I think, yet another error. That we did it for the sake of the few £1,000s fills me with shame. And that a gentleman should choose to throw a bet, but of course, there are no banks in the jungle. And you cannot spend goodwill. Well, let's groom Fogg. And let's hopefully go. The wheels of the cart came off, fixing them took an hour or so, and every man of us was forced to join the work, Monsieur Fogg included, rolling up his sleeves and raising his elbows with disdain. And our relationships have worsened a little, but we still have a great conversation. Now let's talk. Greetings, Sir Francis. Good day to you, Passepartout. Passport 2. Begin our conversations about Benares. I had a friend who was on holiday in Benares just before the waiter expressed a waiter went missing. Waltier? Here's something. Some buyers will pay well for binocular-fueled glasses from Waltier. Oh, and we happen to have some binoculars. That could be interesting. How about Tarragoon? Absolutely, I know a man who had a friend who helped to build aboard the steamer from Waltier to Ragoon. What about perfumed oils? Sounds wonderful. How about Waltier? What else do you know? I hope there's a mental hospital. The Pitcairn Islands? You'd have to ask my secretary, but the quickest way to Pitcairn Islands from here is through Batavia. Pitcairn Islands. The entire population of Pitcairn Islands was founded from the mutineers of the HMS Bounty. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think about that journey. Today we stopped in a small village of busy locals. We stayed close to the cart. They peered at us through the sides of the cart. I paid them nor heed, nor they us. They had no doubt seen sunburnt Europeans often before. More tiring than expected. Ooh, that's not good on our health. The road is so bumpy and potholes I can barely write. Briefly, we passed through some kind of festival. In the distance, through the trees, we made out dancing figures in smoke and fire. It seemed most intriguing, but before we could see exactly what it might be, it was lost between the trunks once more. Thankfully, the journey was almost over. Our driver had begun to smile with his one tooth, hoping, I think, for some kind of bribe for his great service. I cannot think why we would pay for such a thing. Sure enough, when we arrived, we did not. Yeah, we should not have to pay for anything we don't want. Well, let's go to the bank, because we need the bank. Monsieur Fogg looked quite resolved. We must once again make a demand upon the bank, I fear, he declared. I regarded the manager of the bank as we entered, a well-dressed, calm lady who greeted us with eager interest. You want to make a withdrawal? The man asked. You may have to wait a day or two. It's Friday. I mean, we need a lot of money, so we're gonna have to wait a few days, so I'm gonna say £1,500. Declared. The manager made a note. I will need you to take to the London branch to confirm, you understand, she explains. The funds will be ready in 2 working days. So let's go to the market. Is there anything we can sell? Shaving kit, heavy storm, leather gloves, magnetic compass. I don't think we're gonna fly, so I'm gonna sell this. And to be honest, I'm not gonna buy anything. We're gonna explore for the next 4 hours and see if we can find anything of worth. Such as new routes to Calcutta. The Hindus believe that to die in the sacred city of Benares is to achieve salvation. I am not, Monsieur Fogg observed. That all is certain that holds true for non-Hindus, so I do not recommend testing the hypotheses. Passport 2. He gave me a pointed look and I popped up in a front, nodded in fervent agreement. I'm utterly cured of any need for adventure, I assured him. For now on, I shall be the most level-headed, the most sensible, indeed, the most boring gentleman's gentleman a gentleman could ever wish to have. If adventure so much as glances in my direction, I shall give it the cut direct and make no mistake. Monsieur Fogg looked for a moment, as though some kind of spasm had come upon me. Do you need a handkerchief? I asked, offering one solicitously. He took it from my grip and pressed it against his face, though he did not sneeze. After a moment, he straightened up, his cool mask once more firmly in place. Passepartout, he said calmly, you're the most singular valet I have ever encountered. Now do fetch me a cup of tea. I often wondered that moment in Benares. Are all English gentlemen so inscrutable? Or have I chosen a particularly strange example of the breed? But we have strengthened relationships. Nothing to do here, so we'll pass the night. We had another 3 days to wait for our transfer of funds. But we kept ourselves occupied. Before turning in for the night, I afforded my master. Spent a few hours walking around. When I returned, I felt much finer fetor. So let's go to the hotel again. We'll pass the night. Though we're not gaining any health, which scares me. We had 2 days to wait for our money to arrive in London. But we were still unsure whether we could wait. We took a room and settled in, and I helped the kitchen staff to clean, earning £55 as well, learning from him that you could pick up hunting rifles in Hong Kong. Extremely valuable in Batavia. Man, I didn't realize how many days we had to wait. If only the one on Monday was 1,000. But we'll pass the night again. With the last few hours of the evening, I helped the kitchen staff clean. And overheard that the fastest way to Rangoon is through Waltier. Interesting. Hotel again. It is now Tuesday as night fell. I afforded my master every service. And our relationships have expanded. Oh my gosh, my funds keep going down. Tapping the clock will skip forward time. I keep forgetting about that. Our funds are ready, so we collected our funds, and the manager wished us well. Where do we want to go? Do we really want to go to Mount... The fastest way to Rangoon is through Waltier. Negotiate. The English wardrobe should yield results. Most generous. No charge tomorrow. Wait a minute. I thought we could set out. Tomorrow at 11. Let's sleep at the hotel again. We spent a lot of time in this area. Probably a little too much time. Help the kitchen staff clean. We're embarking. Hire extra space. Hire extra space. Thankfully, that wasn't a lot of money. So now we can set off and go. We spent too much time in Benares. We spent too much time in Benares. That might be what cost us. We approached the station with some pleasure. The sight of a well-fitted out carriage soothes the soul. As I loaded myself, Monsieur Fogg, and 3 other cases aboard, I asked his opinion of this route. He looked indifferent. It is the speed that counts, not the furnitures. Still, once sitting in it, he seemed more relieved. This would be a chance to relax. Well, let's groom him. That way we can at least heal. And we travel in the compartment with 2 Kashmir women, holding babies and quite clearly discussing my master and me in their native tongue. I smiled, but did not engage them in conversation. They nudged one another, and then finally one plucked up the courage to speak to me. "Excuse me," the young girl said, most politely. "You're wondering, is your wife not traveling with you?" "I have no wife." She looked shocked. "But Sahib, you are so well dressed. Who presses your clothes, if not your wife?" Her companion leaned in. "Aren't you a little old to be a bachelor?" "I am a very good age," I said with affront dignity. "We passepartouts mature like fine wine, and do not curdle like old milk. But, don't you wish to be married?" "Perhaps one day," I said evasively, wondering what it was they thought nice Kashmiri girls at school, that they were so forward. Monsieur Fogg emitted a cough, which sounded suspiciously like a laugh, but neither of the 2 ladies tried to question him at all for the length of our journey to Wiltshire. Zut alors, life heaps indignities only upon poor Passepartout. And we're losing a little more health. Can I do anything before the journey ends? No. We arrived early next morning. The ladies nodded farewell and stepped from the train. Monsieur Fogg and myself somewhat stumbled. The infants had been less than docile in the small hours of the night. Ay, ay, ay. Some of our possessions could earn us well here. Let's see. To be honest, what don't we need? I might buy this, because this is cheap. Anything that can sell us a lot. The Dusty Road Kit. Part of the air travel. I don't think we're gonna go. I really don't have anything else I want to sell, though. No, I'm gonna sell this. And I'm gonna sell this. And we have new routes. And it's several routes from America. But I mean, I guess if we have these routes available, I mean, I guess it'll help us when we do arrive in America. Wow, we have a lot of routes. Well, I am going to go to the bank. Monsieur Fogg looks somewhat weary. My funds at home are not unlimited. I prefer not to draw them, but I regarded the bank as we entered. It was a small affair, but efficiently looked after. We'd like to take out funds. It may take a few days. I know this might be a big mistake, but I'm going to wait another week. The manager drew a sharp breath. I will check with head office to make the transfer naturally. I mean, there's nothing else we can do. Which is a problem. Exploring the busy streets, I found myself lost in the sights and smells were too cultural. The dress of England, with the colors and heats of India, was its own place, of course, not truly either, and I wondered if it was not better for it. How long such a hybrid could last. As I returned towards Monsieur Fogg, I passed a large building, sat behind a high wall with an ironwork fence. I paused to peer through the gate, and heard from the inside the blood-curdling scream. I looked around for the source, but could not see anything. It seemed to have come from the building itself, and in particular, I saw an open window with a figure, flailing in silhouettes behind the curtain. A man was crossing the path, pushing a blanketed figure in a wheelchair. He paused to regard me coolly from behind his spectacles. "What do you want?" he demanded. "What is this place?" "This is the Meadowhall Hospital for the criminally insane," he replied, matter-of-factly. "You would do well to move on." With that, he turned away. The figure in the chair leant back to peer at me. But I did not want to see, so I turned and left. Oh, great. Criminally insane hospital. Isn't that great? This arrives on Sunday. But there's nothing else to do, so we're gonna plan again. This is bad. We're wasting time. Behind the men pinched smiles. The British residency where we dined was in utter uproar. The commissioner had packed off back to London with such haste that a replacement had not even been chosen, much less dispatched. No doubt he has caused a scandal of unfathomable propositions. To be so unceremonious, outlasted for such high position. Madame Lefeu, the assistant commissioner's heavily pregnant wife, dabbed at her eyes with a handkerchief. And to think, he, a peer of the realm, she exclaimed in genteel sorrow. Still, I suppose he was Scottish. I leaned closer, and questioning an intense expression, as Madame Lefeu rang for more tea, which was served with considerable skill by Benu, a dark-skinned Indian servant in a yellow sari. Poor Lord Thunnock. We British must resist native vices and disposition if we are to civilize this country. Had Lord Thunnock failed the temptation? I asked quickly, hoping she would not notice the impropriety of my question. Poor Lord Thunnock, she repeated, dabbing her eye anew. And poor Lady Thunnock, too, of course. I patted Madame Lefeu's hand, sensing a keen gossip under the yards of crinoline. Monsieur Fogg barely noticed. I suspected he was plotting routes in his mind and only vaguely aware of his Massabi's remonstrations. Lady Thunnock's discovery of the affair? How could she not, given the object of her desire? She all but wailed. It was the talk of the town. I could now further but pry. A man? I inquired daringly. If only Madame Lefeu's cast her eyes heavenward. His lover was, well, they call such persons hirras in the local tongue. A barbaric practice. They take young boys and make them into women. Certain parts are, she paused delicately, excised. I gulped. There's a sizable enclave of hirras past the railway station, and they dress and live as women. We do not employ them. How did Lord Thunnock meet her? It seemed very unlikely that a British colonial lord and a lady of dubious backgrounds would travel in the same social circles. Lord Thunnock was always a great one for amongst the natives. He spoke Telugu with such fluency and had made many charitable projects. Her handkerchief fluttered in horror at the thought. No doubt he encountered her through philanthropic works. Monsieur Fogg seemed aroused from whatever mental calisthenics he had been performing. We've taken up too much of your time, Miss Lefeu, he said repressively. I took his hint and took my leave. I could not resist a parting remark as I took my leave. I wish... What is the lady's name? Madame Lefeu looked flustered. Arum, I believe, she said. I took my leave, marveling at how little the British understood of amour and how much love could distable the colonial societies. So, let's wait at the hotel, because that's the rest we're going to do probably for this episode. We had 5 days to wait until the bank would be ready with our money. But we kept ourselves occupied, and... help. Excuse me. I helped the kitchen staff clean. We're then going to go to the hotel. We had 4 days to wait. So we made ourselves comfortable and waited. The days passed quickly enough. We woke ready to be at the bank as soon as it opened. I did not know if we did that would actually pass time that quick. Let's get our funds. We made our way back to collect our money. And there we go, 5,000. Now let's depart, shall we? Dang it, it just left. Well, looks like we'll have to wait another day. Oh boy, we're halfway through our journey, and I'm not even sure if we're halfway around the world. I washed and hung our linen to ensure everything would be ship-shape for our upcoming departure. Now let's depart, shall we? Oh boy. Now what I want to see is how close are we to traveling across the world? Well, once we get to America, I think once we get to America, we should be fine. Because then it'll be so easily to get back to where we need to be. But let's get back to where we are, at the matter of fact. We boarded the rather unimaginatively named Bengal Tiger just as it was about to depart. We always leave on time, Captain Joshi hampered, as the painter was dropped and we quickly stowed our bags and ourselves into a cabin. Let us see if we can even be early. I cried as we went below. The captain laughed. Indeed we can, was his rejoinder. You just watch. Then the engines were fired and we took off across the water at terrific speed. Let's converse, shall we? Greetings, captains. Passport to... Yes, hello. Rangoon. Very interested in Rangoon. The Burmese pushed back the British Army and retained their independence. Rangoon to Melania. Here's something I know. Melania is the capital of the Spanish East Indies. Now here's the thing. The quickest way to Melania from here is to go via the Batavia. Interesting. So now we were pounding across the water at terrific rate. I took my mind off the heat. Watching the scenery go by and even relaxing, even a valet must take time off. As evening came on, the crew bought our vinias and tablas, began to play boisterous tunes. A few of the younger members of the crew began to dance, and soon there was a good-natured rivalry between the men and the women. I cheered on the men, who looked sorely in need of some encouragement. I cannot say who won the match, but my dreams were unpinned by the sound of hand striking a tabla in a wild rhythm. And now our health is lowering very quickly, very quickly. This is the Andrinium Sea, I was told by one of the deckhands as we rounded a point of land. Rangoon is here. Is that where you're going? Only for a day or so, perhaps. That's good, the deckhand replied. Be careful, she advised. They say a monster prowls Rangoon streets, devouring all with evil thoughts. I thought myself in considerable danger, therefore was not looking forward to arrival. We docked a few hours later and disembarked. Oh boy, we must make haste. We must make haste. I think if we want to make sense, we're probably going to have to go over to Hong Kong or Canton. But that is going to be saved for the next episode. So everyone, this is Holiday Wither signing off. Hope you enjoyed another episode of 8 Days, and if you have, make sure to hit that like button. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Have a nice day.